Hi! Thank you for joining us. It's July 5th and we're in New York right now. I'm in New York and it's 1:47 and I thought I'd get right on it because we have a guest coming on at 2 and I know he's super punctual and I want to kind of prep you on what this is all about. So, well, I'm Mary Amy and this is Signs of Light, and today we have so much to get to. We have a UAP UFO expert, Franc Milburn, and he's going to be joining us around 2, like I said, so I'm going to give you some info and background on him. And we are also going to be covering topics like symbols of luck, famous seers. Seers are prophets and they predict the future. And we're going to talk about what is karmic debt. And I'm going to get into karmic relationships. You know, they say karma and, cause and effect. So we're going to talk about that because we all should have good karma, right? And but before we get to that, I have a disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. I give healing and helpful tips to inner peace and personal serenity. My holistic modalities include I'm an intuitive wisdom coach, I'm a Reiki master, and I'm an ordained minister. And so I myself am someone who is also empathic, and so I am super sensitive to energies and moods and emotions of others. So I've learned on my own how to kind of protect myself, and that's really what I'm doing here, is explaining to you ways for you to have inner peace and personal serenity. And so before we move on, I just want to say bright light shines on us. Every thought is very powerful, and we are all part of a whole. Your pain is my pain, and my pain is yours. Karma is a cycle of cause and effect. Now, the sacred knowledge I impart on you is to connect to a light source, which I'll explain later, engage with nature, and record your sleeping dreams for the universe to guide you on your ultimate destiny. Okay, so today we are going to have a guest. He's calling in. His name is Franc Milburn, and he is a UAP UFO expert and analyst. So let's talk about who Franc is, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about UFOs because you will, let me tell you, he knows so much, and when he gets the ball rolling, it's like I'll give him a question, I already know, I can tell ahead of time, and he's just going to go with it. He's just, you're going to be so impressed. Okay, so Franc, let me tell you a little bit, Franc. UAP UFO expert. He is a strategic advisor assisting clients with intelligence and security issues. He's a former UK military intelligence officer. He is the alumnus of the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst and London School of Economics. He is a member of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, and he's written for a number of globally ranked think tanks, including the Combating Terrorism Center at West Point, the Institute for National Security Studies at Tel Aviv University, and the Belgian Beigin-Sadat Center for Strategic Studies at Bar Ilan University. And I butcher words, we know that. In Beigin-Sadat Center, he published 2 reports written, one on UFOs, the Pentagon's UAP task force, and the development of UAP technology, a fait complete. And I have both of those, so I'm prepared for questions. And I found him online because he wrote this 58-page report, and I said, oh, this is it. This is the government report. Oh my God, how did I find this? And what it turned out to be was his analysis of it. And I'll show you. And so I went on to read it, which it was not in one sitting. Here's his report, as you can see. Not in one sitting, let me tell you. And then I sat on the beach, and I was just writing notes and trying to figure it out. And then, you know, I said, wow, this person is so knowledgeable. Now here is, okay, so he's gonna join us. He's ready to call in. So I guess I'm gonna talk about UFOs after. And that's fine, because if he's ready, let's go. So here we go. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let me just get a sip of water. Oh, I just want to say, so I found this today before I tell him to call. I found this today in the Post. No, it was yesterday in the Post. And it says, how American adults responded when asked if UFOs reported by the military are evidence of intelligence. So 11% said definitely. 40% said probably. And 36% probably not. And then 11% said definitely not. And then 12% refused to respond. I'm going to give you more stats on UFOs after, but let's just let him, he's ready. So I'm just going to say, okay. And then we'll just go with this. Okay. Okay, so this is Frank, and he's calling right now. And he is a strategic advisor. Got to get my okay. He's not in the United States. He's British. So he'll be calling any minute. This is him. Okay. So UFOs are unidentified flying objects, and now they've been talking about going for a week. Now we call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and that's to take away the stigma. Project Blue Book was investigations of UFO unidentified flying objects, and records declassified began in 1947, terminated program. I'm telling him to call video. Okay, ready. Maybe he doesn't understand I was saying call. So they began with Project Blue Book in 1947 and terminated in December 17th, 1969. There was 12,618 sightings reported. 701 remain unidentified. Evaluation results. 1. No UFO reported or indication of a threat to national security. 2. No evidence submitted or discovered by the Air Force as unidentified represent technological development or principles. He's really waiting now till the 2 o'clock. I said okay, and then he doesn't call. Oh, I'm turning him the wrong way. And then 3, no evidence of sightings. Now, more recently, there was a whistleblower, Lewis, and he led the UFO Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program for the Pentagon, called the AATIP, and it was for the Department of Defense. And it was, he shared with us videos, and he allowed us to understand that pilots were actually experiencing sightings of UFOs. And so, August 14th, 2020, a program was formed to put together information from all the branches of government that were involved with the Defense Department, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, to give us information and research about sightings of unidentified aerial phenomenon. Well, on June 25th, we got that report, which I have. And I have a copy of it right here. And so there it is. As you can see, it was 8 pages, but that was the declassified report. We did not see the 78-page report that was classified. Well, I guess he's little miscommunication going on here. Anyway, he'll come through. It says active. So I found this. This is interesting. I found this before Frank calls. UFO sightings are taking off again. Now this was 1990 to 2020, and it says that it started out, which if you go to MUFON, you know that there's more sightings than that this says. Because if I look on the MUFON basically, some days there's 2 and 3 sightings of UAPs. This is only up to 2020. Oh, now it's saying missed. Oh my gosh, how did I miss that? Ha ha ha! Now let's see, I'm calling him back. You there?
Yes, hello.
Hi, sorry I missed the call. So, Frank, see, look, I'm holding up your photo right now.
Oh my God.
So this is Frank, everybody. And Frank is graciously appearing on the show today. And this is really the only way, unless you're a Twitch streamer, to be doing this. And that's just fine, because you'll listen to his lovely British voice. So I gave everyone a introduction to who you are. And,
okay.
From here, I guess we can talk about the reports that you've written, which I just today printed out one of them, which was written before the 58-page report, the 24-page report.
That's a lot of paper.
I know, it is a lot of paper. I'm a paper person, though. I'm really a paper person.
I'm not. I'm electronic.
You're all electronic. You're all technology, Frank?
Yeah, back it up. I just hate printing out stuff. And I hate printer cartridges, and I hate all that stuff. It's just a pain.
Well, you're smarter than I am.
Not really.
Well, Frank, so let's, can you just tell us, what gave you the inclination to write a report? Were you asked to do this, or the UAP report review?
No, I sort of had a long-standing interest in UFOs. I was kind of brought up with it. My parents were really into, like in the 60s, like Chariots of the Gods by Van Daniken, and Charles Burlett's on Atlantis, and things like that. So I always kind of had an interest. I always had an interest in it. Like as a teenager, I kind of delved into a few books. When I joined the military, I got very interested in it, and I can't go into too much about that, but it basically kind of left me with an impression. And then I kind of left it alone, the subject, for many years, and I just kind of read the occasional book. And then sort of 16, 17, I kind of got back into it. I don't know why, I was just kind of drawn to it. And then sort of 2019, I really started thinking, well, actually, I'm studying it, and I'm collecting all this information about it. I'd like to write about it. And I thought the way that I could contribute to the topic would be to approach it from a national security perspective, because national security, geopolitics, those are really, my backgrounds, and also from a military intelligence perspective. And I approached then the Beigin-Sadat Center, and I went in showing them, kind of like documents, and showing them, what insiders had been saying. And once I kind of held off for a year, it was germinating in my head for a year, but once the Senate Committee on Intelligence actually said, that they wanted a report, from the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, and they did their own report saying, we want to know more about UAP. Then that's really when I kind of thought, right, okay, I can hit the nail on the head now, because I'm taking this information to a globally ranked, strategic studies think tank that does, strategic studies, Middle East studies, war studies, national security studies. So if I can take them something that's basically got the Senate on it, then then I'll be good to go in terms of publication.
Right.
That's really how it came about.
Well, it's very detailed, and I can't even get you like where you're. I feel like you're very dark. It's very detailed, and it's fascinating because you cover a lot of aspects and possibilities, and you even, so let's get into it, and I have a couple questions to ask you. Sorry, it's like I might just be better off just putting you right here so everybody can hear you, so everyone can kind of see you. It's a much better version. So, Frank, I read in your report, there's what's called the 5 observables: instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocity, positive lift, low observability, and multimedium travel with the tic-tac, black triangles, and sphere-shaped UAPs. What is the difference with each of those? Do they have what are the differences between them in those 5 observables? Are there any differences?
Okay, well, first of all, you put me down as a UFO expert. I'm not,
to me, you are.
But no, whether they're triangles or kind of like the more traditional saucer shape or like cigars, all these UAP that aren't like balloons or drones, all these UAP that are basically exhibit one or more of the 5 observables technology, they all seem to be pretty similar in terms of zipping around. I mean, you have flying triangles. Generally they move very, very slowly, and according to David Marler's book, and he's the guru on triangles, and they kind of like do right angle turns, and they all seem to be quite low to the ground,
right?
And like shining beams as if they're kind of like in a search pattern. But they will, zip off vertically, or so whether they're from sort of the very large craft, or the medium-sized craft, or the smaller craft, they all seem to exhibit these the high velocity, and also the ability to make these kind of what seem to be like 90-degree turns, or 190 degrees, 180-degree turns. So they're all similar in that way.
Now, when, I'm aware of multi-medium travel means that they are able to be aircrafts in the sky and then also travel underwater. Have all of them appeared to travel underwater as well as in the sky, travel in the sky?
That's a good question. I know that, there's cases of tic-tacs have been seen, and I was just talking to Ross Coulthard, who's an award-winning Australian investigative journalist, and he's a good colleague. He's actually just recently done a couple of interviews. One was with Project Unity, and the other one was with Special Access Podcast. And he also talked to me in April about it, about these cases in Australia where tic-tacs were emerging from the water, and that chimes as well with the 2004 Nimitz incident. And there are also apparently as well reports of triangles emerging from the water and other types of craft emerging from the water. I can't say for certain, and I'm not sure if anybody can. I mean, somebody maybe in the DoD has done kind of like like a sort of patterns analysis of exactly which type of craft portray or demonstrate this sort of multimedium capability.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right now they're collecting data. And what were your thoughts about the released report?
Well. Yeah, first of all, if we're just talking about the report itself, I actually highlighted a couple of things, because I figured that you would ask me these questions. Basically, what's really interesting is, I mean, if we go from the top, the first thing that they say is threat. Okay, so they use the word threat, which is interesting. The preliminary report, blah, 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 provided by the Office Director of National Intelligence is to submit an intelligence assessment of the threat posed by unidentified aerial phenomena and the progress of the Department of Defense Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force has made in understanding the threat. So that's quite interesting. So from the get-go, they say the word threat. Okay.
Right.
Now a lot of people, in the UFO world, they go, oh well, they couldn't be a threat or this or that. Well, the fact is that there are a lot of interesting cases where they have, maybe portrayed, sort of not hostile intent, but they have certainly in terms of capabilities, the capacity to be threatening, and certainly in terms of air safety, which they also mentioned in the report. There is, like a collision risk and an air safety risk. Then if we go on through the report, the other interesting thing was, for me, the people involved.
Yeah.
And the different agencies. So they talk about, the Navy, Office of Naval Intelligence, DARPA. They talk about the FAA, NOAA's in there, right? The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. But conspicuously missing from that is the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then they also, when they're talking about the Air Force.
Wait. So you see that they miss the CIA, which means what? What does that mean to you if it's missing the CIA?
But basically, the CIA were kind of dragging their feet, or because the task force, was kind of being severely undermanned. There was literally a couple of people working on this report. It was underfunded or non-funded.
Mm.
There was the head of the task force was changed, and there seems to be kind of interference with it. Elizondo suggested, Luis Elizondo, the former head of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, he suggested that the report was kind of set up to fail. So for me, it's quite quite interesting that the CIA was conspicuously removed from that. And you've got to imagine, for a report, I mean, these people, they had to get around. Okay, they've only gone back to 2004, right? Which to me maybe is another form of obfuscation of the UFO issue and the cover-up that's gone on for the previous 70 years. But the fact, even going back to 2004 only, they had to get around all these different agencies, and they had to get sign-off, and they had to get access to information and sources that none of these agencies would have wanted to give up easily. So a real bureaucratic minefield. So it's interesting that the CIA is conspicuous from that, conspicuously absent. And then also the Air Force. Let me just find. So yeah, here we go. Limited data and inconsistency in reporting are key challenges to evaluating UAP. No standardized reporting mechanism existed until the Navy established one in March 2019. The Air Force subsequently adopted that mechanism in November 2020, but that it remained limited to US government reporting. So, chatting to people, it seems as well that the Air Force has been dragging its feet, and there's probably reasons for that. The Air Force is tasked with, defense of the, American airspace. That's not the US Navy's job. It's the Air Force's job. The Air Force is involved in, projects Garage Sign and Blue Book. Blue Book, which the last one ended in 1969, year of my birth, and which, to all intents and purposes, was a cover-up. And they, as I said in my first paper, that they basically said it wasn't a threat, to the national security of the United States, and the technologies weren't that interesting, blah, blah, blah. So I think that the Air Force, from embarrassment that it's not able to deter these UAP and stop them doing incursions, because of its involvement in the cover-up, because of its rivalry with the Navy, it's been dragging its feet and hasn't cooperated with this report that's been legally mandated by, lawmakers in Congress, basically. So that was interesting to me. If we go on, they talk about the stigmas, which is quite interesting. And there was actually a new report, a new New York Post report out today. Now, generally, they've done some really, really good reporting on. They sort of started to come on board with the UAP issue, but the Post has done some really good articles and really good interviews with Elizondo and Eric Davis. But they came out with this. And this, to me, it seems to be the kind of the obfuscation, right? They're saying UFO news is just clickbait. And then they actually said connected crackpots and cranks have gotten a few politicians to force the Pentagon to investigate the issue several times and even to hire believers for some of the work. One such nut or cynic, Luis Elizondo, claims that higher-ups ignore and actively suppress evidence of alien encounters, but the only evidence for his claims is a UAP file detailing sightings with no clear explanations. So, it seems that the Air Force or, other elements are trying to obfuscate and to make life difficult for the UAP task force, which is interesting. But what was very interesting as well, and if I just go, where are we? Yeah, so if you go through the 21 reports that they talk about in the report showing unusual flight characteristics, okay, so they represent 15% of the total UAP reports that were looked at, okay, from 2004. So 80% of the analysed 144 reports involved an observation that was basically pinged by multiple sensor systems, right? Mm-hmm. So that's an 85% chance that 10 or more of the 21 highly unusual incidents were captured by one or more sensor systems, right? And I took that from the debrief, who did a very good, one of the very good breakdowns on it. So that was interesting. But for me, the most interesting thing of all was, and hang on, just let me pull this up for you, was actually the letter which came with the DNI report. And I'll just pull this up for you.
Can you pull it up for me?
Yeah, this is from Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathleen Hicks. Yeah, can you still hear me?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
So she said, this is the interesting thing. So she says, I direct this is a letter that accompanied the issue of the report, and this is also mentioned in the press release by Admiral John Kirby at the DoD. So she said, I direct the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security to develop a plan to formalize the mission currently performed by the UAPTF. Okay, good. So it says establish procedures to synchronize collection, reporting, and analysis on the UAP problem set. And notice they use the word problem. And then they say, and to establish recommendations for securing military test and training ranges, right? So here they're talking about the offshore training ranges, yes?
Right.
So my question is, what kind of advice are they going to be offering? Because if it's not non-fiber verbal tech, if it's like, adversarial drones or adversarial aircraft, right? You can intercept those. You can down drones and you can intercept aircraft, right? The British, the Americans, NATO forces, they do it all the time. Mm-hmm. You see the Chinese doing it in the South China Sea. You see the Russians doing interceptions in the Black Sea and the Baltic Sea. Yeah, you get it, and it happens, around the British Isles, and it happens, to the Americans on, principally the West Coast. They do intercepts of long-range Russian aircraft. Recently, near Hawaii. So if you're talking UAP, mm-hmm. to establish recommendations for security military test and training facilities, right? These offshore ranges that include, airspace, sea surface and subsurface. How do you secure those against UAP? Right, that's the problem. So are there some kind of like weapon systems they have involved? Are there some kind of weapon systems that they're developing to be able to bring down a UAP or to deter a UAP? That's an interesting question.
I have a question for you that is kind of related to what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll explain and then I'll give you a question. So the pilot from 1976 Tehran UFO case had a statement from an interview, and he said, I attempted to fire and looked at the panel to confirm my selection of the missile. Suddenly nothing was working. The weapons control panel was out and I lost all the instruments and the radio. The indicator dials were spinning around randomly and the instruments were fluctuating. At this point I was even more frightened. Now, Frank, are these so-called otherworld UAPs field penetratable by military aircraft to intercept?
Sorry, what do you mean? Can we shoot them down?
Well, yeah, because if this pilot, and this was 1976, if all his instruments stop working, we really can't intercept them or shoot them down.
Yeah. I mean, Chad Underwood as well in the kind of Roswell encounters, he was talking about jamming. Fravor in the 2004 case talked about jamming. In the 1976 Tehran case, arguably it could be a very sophisticated form of jamming, because his weapons panel went offline. The pilot, he was Major Jafari at the time, later became a general. His weapons panel went online, and he lost communications with his base, and he lost his intercom with his backseater, with his WISO, his weapons systems officer. But he could still fly the plane, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a very interesting question that I've asked. Are they actively jamming? And Chad Underwood said that, actually it showed up on his screen, on his radar, that basically he was being jammed. He had indications that he was being jammed. So are they actively engaged in jamming, or is it a factor of, the aircraft get too near the kind of like maybe the warp field surrounding the craft, and then that's a factor. Jamming is a factor of being in close proximity to that energy. But this isn't something new. I mean, the Russians were talking about this from the 70s, the 80s, the Finns. If you look at the UK's Project Condign report, which was secret, came out, I think it was declassified in 2006, but it was written in 1999. But in terms of actually shooting down the aircraft, well, Jafari tried, there are other instances in the UK in the 50s where they tried, firing rockets, but the aircraft just UAP just zipped off really, really fast. There's the very famous 1980 Peru case, where a Peruvian pilot tried to intercept a UFO, and he pumped, and I've got it in the second paper, and he pumped, I think, 600 rounds of 23mm ammunition into it, and it just seemed to be absorbed by the craft and had no effect on it whatsoever. If you talk to John Alexander, Colonel John Alexander, who's obviously figured quite prominently in both my papers, and who actually used to manage these projects, black and white projects on like directed energy weapons. He's saying, look, radars aren't going to bring them down, like some people claim, high-powered radars. Directed energy weapons aren't going to bring them down. Dr. Jack Sarfati has theorized that because of the white hole event horizon that the craft, principally Tic Tacs, are able to generate, that basically nothing can penetrate, not like an EMP, not a nuclear explosion, not a missile, and not cannon. I'm not sure about lasers or other directed energy weapons, but the colonel basically said to me, and I spoke to him a couple of days ago, he just said, like, not a chance.
So are you talking about there's someone else, I don't think it's the same gentleman, Jack Sarfati, who is a American physicist? Is that who you're referring to?
Dr. Jack Sarfati, yeah.
Okay, so that's funny. One of my questions is related to him. He's from Brooklyn. He's 81 years old now, and he is, a physicist on quantum physics and consciousness, and he claims that he had received a phone call 20 years ago from an alien craft.
Yeah.
I saw a video about that.
Yeah, he's not the only one. I just received, I'm not going to mention the guy's name because I received it in confidence, but I've got another friend who's an experiencer, a good friend, and another one of the scientists in that kind of group received a communication, and apparently, according to my knowledge, other people in kind of Sarfati's peer group did. I mean, if you look, like Davis, Puthoff, the Colonel, they're all in kind of that peer group. They all seem to be experiencers.
Yeah, because in the video, he talks about how 20 years ago he answered the phone. 20 years before, I guess, he became a physicist, and he answered the phone.
It was in the 1950s.
Right, in the 1950s, and they said, "I'm from the future, and you're going to meet this man, or this, guy," and he ended up meeting all the people that they had called about, and then he actually worked with them. They were part of a team with him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I received some info. I received some info, and this is where another guy goes, in defense of Jack, I had pretty much the same thing, right? Happened to be circa 1979. I don't give a rat's ass if you or anyone else doesn't believe me, but it happened. My brother and mother will testify to it. Then he goes on, everyone else was in the TV room, I was in the kitchen where the only phone in the house was located. The phone rang, I was next to it, so I picked it up. The next thing I heard were, sci-fi noises like a rhythmical, musical whirring type sound, and then his voice starts talking to him. So, Jack Sarfati is not the only one.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, not in a. I'm saying crazy, like wow, like it's otherworldly. It's just unimaginable, really, because back then.
Imagine. But imagine when I don't know the indigenous populations of the Mesoamericans and the Native Americans when they first saw Europeans like with ships and with cannon and gunpowder. That was probably seemed pretty magical at the time. And there's things that we don't understand, that we didn't understand, that we came to understand over time.
Right.
And things that maybe in the future we'll understand much better, and then we'll be okay. There's a reason for that. It's not like magical. We understand it now.
Right. Exactly. Because our brain can't wrap itself around that idea. So, do you think the fact that UFO UAPs have been around at least 70 years will ever be able to outmaneuver them?
Well, I think they've been around for thousands of years, probably. I mean, they seem to be, since recorded history, they seem to have been around. If you look at, like Roman times and Alexander the Great, there's accounts of ancient battles where, they saw flying, bright sort of shield-shaped objects flying around in the sky. There are paintings from the Middle Ages where you've got clearly what look like UAP UFOs in the background. So I think they've been around for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And also, generally the phenomena associated with UFO has been around for a long, long time. They've been, maybe if you look at the Rip Van Winkle story as well, that could be construed as an abduction experience. So these things have been going on for centuries, if not millennia. I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
No, I said, I was asking if you ever thought we'd outmaneuver them if they're so advanced.
No, I don't think so. I think, they're so far ahead. A lot of people speculate that the U.S. government, has fleets of these of similar tech and in a secret space program. My reply to that would be, well, why are they still spending money on conventional jets? And why hasn't that technology been used in war? Because as Jafari said, remember your pilot that you mentioned, when he landed at his base in 1976, he was the second pilot who tried to intercept that UFO. When he landed at his base, the Shah of Iran, basically rocked up, and he said, "Oh, are you the pilot who tried to intercept the UFO?" Jafari goes, "Yeah." And he goes, and the Shah goes, "What do you think?" And Jafari goes, "Well, I don't think it's from here, i.e. from Earth," because he goes, if it were earthly tech, whoever had it would rule the world by now.
Right. Of course. So maybe they rule the world and we don't know it.
Well, they, not overtly, but they certainly have capabilities that challenge anything at all in, the inventory of the most, advanced military power in the world.
Right. So I have another question about something. A non-human extraterrestrial being is a creature that is a human displaying some but not enough human characteristics to be considered human. Your UAP report mentions NHEs, non-human entities, biologically cloned. Do you consider that they're pilots in these UAPs, like euphonauts, or a passenger, or is this remote? These are remotely passing.
Well, those are good questions. And without going anthropomorphic and sort of trying to put human mindset onto what could be these intelligences, which are obviously have this technology that's far, far ahead of our own. I don't know. If I had to make a guesstimation, I'd say maybe some of the smaller craft are remotely piloted. Maybe all of them are remotely piloted. I don't know. But there have been reports of large triangles that have actually been seen with people inside, and other craft that have seen with people inside.
What?
And obviously,
Wait.
Beings. And then obviously there've been the numerous abduction cases where
right.
thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands around the world, where people have actually been say they've been taken by beings onto
right.
craft, and they've seen different kinds of species, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some of them are piloted, unless everybody's kind of like in some kind of like deep trance state and having their perception totally manipulated, which is the consciousness aspect of UAP.
Right.
Certainly, I think some craft could be piloted, but some craft could be remote. I mean, after all, when we go to like Mars at the moment, and further out into the universe, well, we use remotely piloted vehicles, don't we? Because it's much cheaper, it's much safer. You send those on a reconnaissance mission just as you do like on Earth. If you're going to go and survey the crops or whatever, you can send a drone to do that. If you're going to go and survey a military target, do intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or even attack a target on the ground, you can use a drone.
Okay. Just not jumping around, but kind of. Because I guess these are just questions that I'm really curious about.
That's okay. But I'll be honest with you. I just did, the number one disclaimer. I don't have all the answers, right? I'm not trying to sell close encounter courses with aliens. I don't claim to have all the answers.
No, I know, but you know what? You have more than any of us have. So wondering, could it be the UAPs are traveling from a space and time portal in the sky, or in the somewhere else in our universe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a physicist, and the best people to ask about that would be people like Kevin Knuth. Kevin Knuth at the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, or Dr. Jack Sarfati, or Dr. Eric Davis, somebody like that, because they've actually written papers about it. So, but yeah, I mean, Dr. Jack Sarfati, he theorizes that there's a portal, for example, at Skinwalker Ranch, and the Colonel John Alexander, he was on, I think it was episode 4 of series 2 of Secret of Skinwalker Ranch series, and he was basically brought in as the consultant, and he said there's a portal there, and there's claims that kind of cryptid creatures have come out of these portals. And in my first paper, and in John Alexander's book, which I referenced in the paper, that he talks about mutilation that happens. And he said, well, the only way that that could have, the only possibilities were like an invisible UFO, or some kind of a trans-dimensional thing, or a portal. So quite possibly. I mean, or there could be a combination thereof. If people ask where do they come from, whatever. I mean, some might be physically traveling in through kind of space-time, through space. Some might be using wormholes. Some might be using some other means that we don't yet understand yet. I mean, some of them might be here. They might be coming up from the ocean depths, coming from deep inside the ground. Maybe a combination thereof.
Right. So I don't even know what to say after that.
I just kind of gets blown by this.
You're just like, I'm just taking it all in.
Yeah, my mind gets blown by it as well. I mean, you start thinking about the possibilities of it, and like your eyes just start spinning in your head.
Exactly.
What I'm really wary of is people who say that they've got all the answers. If you read really intelligent, the books by really intelligent people like Colonel John Alexander, or David Marler, or you listen to people like Rich Hoffman or Robert Powell, who are board members at SCU, which I'm a member of. They're a lot more kind of circumspect in saying where these things could be, where these intelligences could be from, and what their intentions are. Like Dr. Jack Sarfati, he doesn't even want to say what their intentions are or what he thinks they are, because I mean it's just so open to question. We just don't know. That's the key thing. We know when people are asking, well, are they a threat or not? So, well, we know what their capability is. It's far superior to ours, but are they a threat? Interestingly, on that score, the Russians issued a video on a documentary on which my mate reminded me about. On unidentified submersible objects, USOs, basically UFOs are underwater, and apparently it had all these Russian, and I've seen it, it's got all these Russian admirals in it, and they're talking about the Russians losing subs, they're talking about the Americans losing subs trying to chase these things like in the depths of the ocean. So, conceivably they would be considered a threat. Also, Project Condign, the British Defence Intelligence 55, who wrote the reports, they were tasked basically with, looking at UFOs. They talk about, this Russian source Sokolov, who's talking about, Russian pilots trying to intercept the UFOs and getting, we don't know if they were shot down. We don't know if they lost control because they came into contact with some interference from the UFOs. We don't know, but people have lost their lives, and aircraft have been lost, and submarines apparently have been lost, trying to chase these things.
Okay, anyone out there have any questions for Frank? I'm just going to ask him another one, but if anyone has one, put it in the chat. So Frank, I found this article, I think it was in either the New Yorker or I want to say it was Vanity Fair, something like that, and it was written by Keene, Dr. Keene, and refers to Dr. Kit Green, and the effects of UAPs, and Dr. Kit Green refers to the reactions of having an alien or a UAP encounter, and burns, skin lesions, cancers, and spending the cases that it's a male, Kit Green? It's a man, isn't it?
Yeah. He's a famous kind of CIA doctor.
Oh, he's a famous CIA doctor. And he refers how within 5 to 7 years of his diagnosis, his patients die. Do you know anything about that about that case?
Well, yeah, if you let me pull that up for you.
That's like from the electromagnetic field from the encounter, right? From the craft.
Yeah. If you look at really recently, like a Skinwalker, that's happened there. I'm just pulling up now. Yeah, there have been all kinds. Also, who was it? It was Dr. Paul Hill, who was the NASA aeronautical engineer that I mentioned in my first report.
Right.
He also talks about, kind of like old school UFO weaponry. And there's also, he talks about basically cases. Also, Jacques Vallée, I put in a chart which sort of details like UFO effects. But yeah, this is all like well established from research, and there's a lot of famous cases. The one at Skinwalker is probably the most recent, where the guy actually kind of like one of them, Travis Taylor, he gets like Dr. Travis Taylor gets radiation burns. The ranch foreman gets this kind of like weird lump on his head and ends up being hospitalized. Then he has like when they have like excessive kind of like RF radiation on the ranch, he gets sick again and has to get off the ranch. Travis Taylor like gets affected by it as well, but he actually shows he actually had like little burns like on his arm, like on the side of his head. So it's something that's basically been has been well documented.
I wondered if someone in person encounters an alien spacecraft or UAP, is the reaction, or is it going to affect your system differently than, like, let's say a pilot? Are the pilots experiencing this as well, or is it only when you're like freely on the ground or something?
I don't know if the pilots get sick, or disorientated, but I mean, some of them, I believe, have had lost time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Paul Hill, he wrote when I wrote about him in the paper, he said like the UFO field engine, like our atomic power plants, has the property of being radioactive. So UFOs have made people sick with typical symptoms of radiation poisoning. Yeah. Then you mentioned like Kit Green. Safati, he posits a connection between Skinwalker Ranch and T-Cube weapons. He says the Skinwalker Ranch gate portal hovering 1,000 feet over a place on the ranch can easily be a WMD. It can be controlled to be benign or fry the area below, as seen in the radiation reported on the TV show Secrets of a Skinwalker Ranch. Then you had Calares in 1977 in Brazil, where box-shaped UFOs, and Dr. Eric Davis talks about that in the interview with Alejandro Rojas. So these box-shaped UFOs are actually killing people and injuring people with beams. Okay, so, and Dr. Eric Davis says, so they have not been developed, they haven't shown any space brotherly love and peace type movements towards us. Then there's another case in the Uinta Basin, which was documented by Jeremy Corbell, UFOs and radiation again. And there was this local indigenous guy who basically he developed, I think, like MS and like other problems. You've got the Falcon Lake, Manitoba, Canada incident in 1967, where this bloke Stephen Michalak, he got emissions from a craft, and yet he got like some kind of crazy burn mark across his stomach. You've got the Cash Landrum incident in the US in 1980, where a couple of ladies basically got serious radiation poisoning. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of instances. It's been well documented the effects that UFOs can have on people, and also Dr. Davis, Hal Puthoff, in his talk a couple of years back, he actually says if you see or hear a UFO starting up, like, you don't want to be near it.
You don't want to be near it.
Yeah.
Now, how fast do these crafts go? How fast? What's the fastest you've heard they travel?
About anything from sort of 6,000 miles an hour onwards. But I mean, that's in the atmosphere, right? So if they can do that in the atmosphere, I wonder what they can do outside the atmosphere.
And an average, one of our crafts, what do they do? One of our aircrafts, how fast do they travel? So we have.
Hang on a sec. Sorry, I've just got a quote from Elizondo here. He says, in some cases, these objects, UAP, have been observed flying 8,000 miles an hour and faster.
Oh my goodness.
There are very few things that Mindcan has developed that can fly that fast in the atmosphere. So maybe, hypersonics, and also, ICBMs, because they go into space, and as they come down, they're actually flying a lot faster than hypersonic missiles. But, we don't have things that fly 8,000 miles an hour, or 6,000 miles an hour even, or 4,000 miles an hour, and then do a right-hand turn, right? We don't have those. Or zip straight up or straight down. We just don't have those.
Or it seems some of them are not even moving at all. They're just standing still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking up, sorry, because I'm not massively...
No, you're so fast at answering these questions.
No, I'm not massively... Here we go. I'm just looking at a MAC number. So the MAC number that aircraft use, so what is it? So subsonic is Mach 0.8, supersonic is 1.2 to 5.5 is Mach 1.2 to 5, the hypersonic is Mach 5 to Mach 10. So the NASA X-43 at Mach 9.6 is one of the fastest aircraft. So
wow.
Yeah. But again, I mean, these kind of questions, you'd be much better off asking, basically a fighter pilot or, someone, a scientist,
Well,
an aerospace
you
engineer.
have a lot of answers for us, and I'm not talking to an aerospace. I'm just seeing, so someone's writing interesting in the chat. I'm just looking to see if there's any questions. I think that, I'm asking all the best questions possible, so no one has any good ones besides the ones that I have to say, I guess. So about this 78-page, or what the actual classified, have you heard anything coming out of that, or you can't probably say?
But anything being leaked? No, I haven't.
No. And so they're going to go ahead
maybe Putin and Xi in China have a copy. I don't know, but I don't.
Oh, how funny! And
no, not really.
Are they?
I don't want them to have it.
Oh no, I know. I don't mean it funny, haha. I mean funny, like oh no. So what is the name of the program now? Is it still the UFO Advanced Area? No, that's Lewis's. Then this is the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Is it still called that, or are they calling it a new name?
Well, they've actually, if we say and I will just pull this up. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. And there's a couple of parts to this question, so bear with me, all right? Okay, so where are we? Yeah, so DepSec Def Kathleen Hicks. She said, I direct the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security to develop a plan to formalize the mission currently performed by the UAPTF. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's gone beyond the competence of the Office of Naval Intelligence. Okay, so it's basically bigger than that now. So she wants to formalise the mission, so it'll go beyond being a task force.
Mm-hmm.
So presumably there will be some kind of like interagency body.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not just DoD, but interagency, the various intelligence agencies of DoD, and then also like the CIA, the Air Force, if they want to play ball,
mm-hmm.
the Department of Energy.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the interesting thing. I mean,
mm-hmm.
the UAPTF, right? But then you've got all the other programs that are in existence, but which are covered by unenlarged special access programs and waived special access programs, and probably very, very few people know the names of those, right? Elizondo will, which are running UAP programs, and which Dr. Davis alluded to. And in my first paper, I quoted an email between him and Sarfati, where he basically goes, the people in people in government know who you are. If you want to get your UFO propulsion ideas, like on the table, you need to talk to the Defense Service labs and the DOE, the Department of Energy labs, right, and their review boards. So that's a little hint that the Department of Energy is looking at UAP. So it's not just the UAPTF, and I think that's why there was two parts to answer to your question, and the UAPTF, that's why they've been basically like fobbed off by the likes of the Department of Energy. They didn't seem to be involved. The CIA didn't want to say anything. The Air Force, I'm sure there's people in the Air Force who know about these unacknowledged special access programs. Okay, so beyond the UAPTF, so the UAPTF and whatever the follow-on body is, once it's formalised, it's just going to be one part
mm-hmm.
of US government that's looking at UAP. There are others.
So in other words, it's not going to be called that anymore? That was just for this report?
No, it's just, because it's a task force, by definition, task force.
Oh, I
see.
Thing.
What I'm saying is that there are deeper, darker secrets, right, within the US,
right,
with UAP, and Dr. Davis hints at that in a couple of interviews. So that are beyond the UAPTF, that are outside the purview of the UAPTF, and will probably likely be outside the purview of whichever body the UAPTF morphs into, unless, as I said in my first paper, unless they have congressional hearings, which some lawmakers have hinted at. They have congressional hearings, and they start subpoenaing basically senior generals, heads of aerospace companies, senior defense officials, intelligence officials, and under oath, and start hammering them about what's actually going on.
Okay, so getting off the official information and going into ufologists' theories and conspiracy, do you give any credit to, Roswell and Area 51? Do you have any thoughts on those two subjects?
Yeah, there's a lot of horse shit that people talk about them. I don't claim to have the answers, but you've got to be very careful. I always try, I wrote 2 peer-reviewed papers, right? I wrote 2 peer-reviewed papers for a globally ranked strategic studies think tank that has very close ties with the Israeli aerospace, defense, and intelligence communities, right? And it's peer-reviewed, so I can't go walking along making stuff up as I go along, right? I can't do that. Problem with ufology is there's been so much crap written about it, which is why you've got the twin pillars of the cover-up the last 70 years. You've had basically our denial and ridicule, and it's very easy to ridicule when you've got on the one hand really dumb people who don't have a clue, and who make up or who just kind of propagate anything that they're told, even if it's rubbish and flies in the face of logic and reason. And then you've got the other aspect of that is charlatans basically who propagate untruths and who are trying to make money off unsuspecting and basically gullible people who want to believe something, who want to find enlightenment. So then it's very easy for a government, if you're doing disinformation, It's very easy, because then you can ridicule the subject. You go, well, look at those idiots. I mean, they're talking absolute crap, and they are. And it makes life very easy for like serious ufologists, people who actually follow the data and don't kind of rush, to kind of embrace some of the more kind of like idiotic ideas. And there are a lot of idiotic ideas out there. I mean, I always try to relate ufology to real life, like what's actually happening in history. If you're saying like, oh, the US have got, or China or Russia have got like, fantastical beyond next generation craft which have 5 observable, characteristics. Okay, well, what are their current intentions? What's their historical military capability? What's their current capability in military terms, in science terms, in manufacturing terms? Have we seen any of these exotic technologies bleeding off into other areas of science that they're using, or products that they're developing? Have we seen them use these craft in conflicts? Because China, they've got a lot of territorial aspirations, right? They'd be in Taiwan tomorrow if they had this technology. Russia would have reconstituted the former Soviet Union if they had this technology. Yeah, so you have to kind of like relate ufology to what's going on in the real world, and then that cuts out like a lot of the BS.
Okay, so you're saying so you think that Area 51 is a made up?
No, I'm not saying that I think Area 51 is made up. I mean, it's been well established that there's been a test and training area for the most secretive projects in American the aerospace, right? Whether it's the stealth aircraft, whether it's the SR-71 Blackbird. No, that's all true. Do they have a hangar with sport model, Lazar sport model craft? Like, I don't know, but I mean, if they had fleets of these craft, if they had a workable craft, by now they would have had a squadron, a deployable squadron of these craft, and they would be using it in war, because all weapons ultimately are designed to be used in war. That's why you have that's why you continue trying to advance technology, so that you have a decisive advantage on the battlefield. Yeah, so I think that Area 51, they could well have downed or crashed alien craft or pieces thereof that they are trying to reverse engineer. I don't know if they've got one working yet.
Right. How would they figure that out?
I believe that they've deployed that. I haven't seen them in any conflict, deployed in war. And the Americans have lost a lot of people in Vietnam. The Americans have lost a lot of people in the last 2 decades of war. And there are some people who are saying, oh well, the Americans have had anti-grav aircraft since like the mid 50s. Okay, so if so, where have they used them? Yeah, because they've lost a lot of blokes by not using them.
Okay.
So I keep an open mind.
Keep an open mind, right? We don't know everything.
Absolutely.
Higher
Absolutely.
consciousness.
But I mean, with Roswell, I mean, you really get a different story. I mean, there's so many books written about it, some really, really intelligent ones, and it really depends like who you talk to. So, I wasn't there in 1947, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I guess it's the report's validation for all those who claimed. And I'm trying to think of, there was a famous supposed, he allegedly said he worked there at
Bob Lazar.
Oh yeah, Bob Lazar, right. You said that, didn't you, Bob Lazar?
Yeah.
What's your take on Bob Lazar? Do you have any perspective on him?
I don't know the guy, George Knapp, and who I respect very highly, and Jeremy Corbell, they kind of like swear by him. I don't know the guy.
They do?
I haven't spent any time with him. Yeah. I mean, George Knapp has known him for decades, right? So,
right.
But since I think at least 88 or 89. But I don't know the guy. I mean, I keep an open mind. There's stuff that's kind of like a bit sus about his story. There's other stuff that's quite interesting about his story. He seems very intelligent, and he's kind of says the same things over the years, and but I don't know one way or another. I can't make an assessment.
Right.
Again, I keep an open mind.
Yeah, keep an open mind. So Jeremy Corbell, he was the one who actually shared with us the videos from the pilots.
Yeah.
And have you seen are there any new ones coming out that the public hasn't seen, or is everything out there already?
There was a video, what was it called? Sorry, just let me pull up my YouTube. I can send it to you. It was called like UAP Live or something. It was on last week, and George Knapp showed a new video of knows the so-called pyramid craft that were around in the Catalina sightings, supposedly. Right. So George Knapp pulled out a video that was from like 1967 in Russia that he'd got in the early 90s after the fall of the former Soviet Union. He went to Russia, so he was actually showing this video of a pyramid craft on this show from 1967.
Wow.
But again, you know, it was something that I saw on a screen being shown on TV, so I can't assess it. But you know, I have a high degree of confidence in George Knapp. All the videos that Corbell's shown, I need a lot more context for those. And I mean, you only have to look on like UFO Twitter and, you know, other media. There's like, you know, lots of people, you know, like for and against. I just basically want to see, you know, more context to it. So I'm not saying no, but I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon. You know, like with the Wilson documents, right? I said in the paper, I said, yeah, it could quite possibly be true. Now I've come to, I kind of like think, yes, the Wilson documents are genuine. The Wilson document is genuine, having spoken to people and like learned more. But you know, I kept an open mind at the time. I'm not going to close my mind to something when there are some compelling aspects of it. But what I really like to have is, you know, somebody on the record, you know, something documented, a genuine document that backs up the assertion, or, for example, you know, the actual technology themselves that they're talking about, right?
I have a question from the chat. I love the beach asks, does he think humans can live on Mars?
Yeah, I mean, if they sort out, you know, like the habitats and the tech, I mean, you know, presumably it will be, you know, terraforming of Mars, maybe changing the atmosphere, or, you know, building kind of like huge, you know, huge bases there. Yeah, I think it's quite feasible. Again, I mean, I'm not like, you know, an expert on, you know, space habitat, you know, but I think, yeah, it's quite feasible the way technology is going. I mean, isn't Bob Bigelow? I mean, his Bigelow Aerospace, they're producing like modules for NASA to use. So yeah, I think it's quite feasible. Or maybe they'll go underground on Mars, you know, build bases underground. So.
Do you think that, okay, so I have two more questions, and I know we've taken up so much of your time, and I'm so appreciative. Okay, so one question came this morning. I spoke to some of my family members, and it might be a little hokey, but I said, any questions? Any questions? And I heard, when is the invasion?
Oh, the invasion?
Yeah, when's the invasion, Frank?
You mean of what, you know, of others onto Earth?
Yeah.
Kind of like Independence Day kind of stuff. I don't know. I'd argue that they'd probably be a lot more surreptitious than that. And if you follow the work, I mean, if you're into kind of like the, you know, the abduction style and like, you know, they are here and they are hybridizing humans and slowly replacing us, you know, that would seem to be probably like a smarter way to go. Then, you know, you don't have to expend too much energy then, do you? You just kind of like take over from the inside. So I've read a lot of Dr. David Jacobs, and he's very interesting. He's got 2 books, The Threat and Walking Among Us. I've spoken to one insider, you know, government insider, who's a scientist, and who knows a lot about UFOs and phenomena in general. I'm not going to say who he is, but he basically said that, yeah, what was his name? Dr. David Jacobs was a very kind of like, you know, well-respected historian early in his career, but he kind of got like a bit, you know, whacked out as he went on, as he got older, and his sort of interviews and his regressions were a bit kind of subjective, but he became convinced by the end that there was, you know, like reptilians and insectalians, as he called them, and basically humans are being slowly replaced. So I would, if I had to posit a guess, if I had to do a guesstimate, I would say less likely the Independence Day scenario, and more likely it would be like a takeover from within, you know, a subversion and infiltration.
Reptilians. Reptilians are supposed to be shapeshifters, and they're supposed to be, like, you're talking about the reptilians that are supposed to take over the world? Those? They say
no, I mean, this is according to...
No, I know. It's like they're...
To Dr. Jacobs' theory, the reptilians are kind of like workers. They're subordinate to these insectalians, who are like mantid types, right? That's just his theory, right? I mean, I don't really subscribe to it, but it is interesting. It's very compelling if you read it, because he's got different adoptees who, under regression, are telling him the same things. That's what's fascinating about it.
What do you mean? That they're being hypnotized and sick?
Yeah, different people. Different people are going to him and saying, "Look, I've been abducted." So he's regressing them, and they're telling him the same things. That's what's interesting about it. It's not like random stories. People saying different things. People are like saying the same things. So that's what's interesting about it.
So basically, it would be that they're taking over the world not by flying in and stealing the land. They're going to just kind of take over the population by being part of the population. Is that the theory?
By stealth and guile.
Wow.
Basically breeding us out until there's very human looking or completely human looking, but with alien basically like morals and characteristics and what do you call it, psychic abilities, right? And then a small human force which is left over. A small human population which is left over for, I don't know, slave labor or,
oh my goodness,
eating or whatever.
Well, I'm not an alien, I know that, or humanoid. I know I'm a human being.
That's good. Yeah. I'm glad I am too.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are reptilians.
No.
So.
But that's just putting that out there. I recommend. I mean, if people are interested, there's two very, very interesting books: The Threat and Walking Among Us. If you want to kind of go down that rabbit hole of the abduction rabbit hole, that's pretty interesting. And I'm not saying that people don't have genuine abduction experiences. I'm not saying that at all.
So I was actually looking up. I was looking at polls to see how many people believe in UFOs, and so it's interesting. So a Gallup poll, May 2021. 1/3 of Americans think some UFOs that people have spotted have been alien spacecraft visiting Earth from other planets. So it's interesting, 1/3. And then 2019, 49% of Americans believed that people somewhat like ourselves living on other planets, and so on. But in 2012, it was only 1 out of 5. So I guess it's gone up. So more people believe in aliens, or I guess if you want to say UAP, UFOs. One more question, and then I'll let you go because it's almost in a full hour. Oh, you want to go now, or do you?
No, I'm good.
Are you okay? You exhausted? You're like an encyclopedia, Frank. Do you think that? I mean, I kind of hedged around this earlier. Do you believe that there are aliens in these spacecrafts? I know you said that people have seen passengers. Do you yourself, or do you not want to share that? How do you feel?
Yeah, I believe there could be. I believe maybe some could be remotely piloted. Some could have. I mean, the thing is, there are different types of craft, right?
Right.
So would that indicate that there is a different mission? For example, smaller craft, which is like maybe a remotely piloted scout vehicle.
Right.
You've got a larger craft like a triangle, which is maybe like a transport. Yeah.
Right.
But you've got so many, dozens and dozens of different types of like looking beings that people have supposedly seen. So.
What about the Tic Tacs? What about the Tic Tacs? Those are like 41 feet. Would a person fit in that? The Tic Tacs?
Yeah, I think you could fit. Yeah, I mean it's about the size of an F-18, isn't it?
I don't know what the size of an F-18 is.
Yeah. You could probably fit 2 people in there. I mean, human-sized people.
Right.
But I mean, who knows how big they are, or maybe it's controlled by consciousness from far away. I mean, I just don't know.
Right.
I really don't know the answer to that.
No, I know. It's interesting to hear your perspective because you have done so much research and you have been obviously speaking to people that are really having either encounters or knowledge of it or the data, and so you're the best case scenario to get this information from, because how else would we know?
Well, some people put forward that it's a consciousness thing, and that basically you see what the phenomenon wants you to see. So if they want you to see triangle craft, that's what you see. If they want you to see kind of like a 2-headed alien, that's what you see, right? If they want you to see an orb of light,
right? So I Love the Beach asked, do you have a book?
No, I don't.
You should have a book.
Yeah, I kind of like the reports because kind of like shorter chunks.
Right.
Because in my work, I do like a hell of a lot of reading and stuff that I have to do. So the idea of writing a book at the moment is like slightly daunting.
Right.
I can deal with kind of like shorter maybe like 20 20 to 50 pages is kind of easier to get my head around. Maybe it will turn into a book one day once I've done a few more of these reports, like university report. I don't know. I'm seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing a little bit of blogging as well, probably, just so that I can get things out there more quickly. But a book, yeah, maybe one day. But I mean, so much has been written about it, and things are in such a state of flux at the moment. That's the other thing that's good. It's good to write papers on, because like things are happening so fast.
Right. Well, we are so grateful that you joined us today. Is there anything that you want to, like, any place that anyone can find more information about you, or I don't know, anything that you want to share with us that's upcoming for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing. I'm on Twitter at Franc Milburn, like all one word.
Right.
I'm on Facebook as well, but I post kind of more on Twitter.
Right. I'm going to write that in the chat.
The Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, they announced this on Twitter. They're actually doing an assessment of the DNI's report, the Director of National Intelligence report on UAP. I'm actually part of that group who's doing an assessment of it. So I've actually got to get that out pretty soon. And then there'll be, I think, a report issued by the SCU further down the line on that.
I have also seen you have many podcasts, or you're a guest on a lot of different shows about this subject, so people can find you that way too on YouTube.
Yeah. If you look, I've got a couple on the Project Unity channel, and Alien Scientist and American Anti-Gravity.
Project Unity. So before we know it, we'll be hearing you on like Ancient Aliens or something.
I don't know about that.
Something. You'll be somewhere. You're just getting deeper and deeper into this, Frank.
It sucks you in for sure. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. It sucks you in, and there's just so much to learn about it as well. I mean, it's a bit like history, really. I mean, there's just so many different aspects of history. Are you going to go and look at Egyptian history? Is it ancient Egyptian history? Is it going to be like early modern history, medieval history, late modern history? There's so many things there's so many places you can go in ufology. I think I'm trying to stick with the kind of like the national security strategic aspects of it, but there's so many other areas that interest me, like consciousness. Because if you understand the actual craft themselves, like Colonel John Alexander, he said a very, very interesting thing. He said to me, I think it's got more to do with consciousness than the physics. Whereas Jack Sarfati is very much, he is into the consciousness aspect of it as well, because he says it's like a fully autonomous, like AI, fully autonomous, conscious artificial intelligence. But Jack Sarfati is into the consciousness aspect of it as well, as you said at the start of this interview. But he's very much into the physics, explaining how the craft work and how they can be built. So there's so many different areas you can go in ufology. It's absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I mean, there's people who's devoted their whole career, to cattle mutilations, abductions. It's fascinating.
I actually have had a few guests, and they've talked about the higher consciousness and how they've actually been visited where it's like astral travel, and they're actually experiencing or being told things. And in one of these, it's what's called starseeds. It's like aliens, and it's, I don't know, I've said to them, is this matter? Is this real? Is this in person? Have you seen this in person? It's like, I mean, like you said, I don't know if, it seems to me that extraterrestrials might very well be communicating telepathically. And so I don't know, like sharing downloads with people, or if you're conscious, then maybe you can hear what they're saying, or be communicated with these extraterrestrials. I don't know. Lots of questions. My gut says 2025 will have a lot more information. That's what I say.
Yeah, but bear in mind, I mean, you just keep in mind, I mean, Elizondo and Chris Mullen, who I both kind of respect, right? They have pushed for greater transparency in government because they want UAP to be taken seriously for national security purposes. One, because we don't know the intent of the intelligences behind the UAP, Okay, we don't know what their intentions are,
Right.
but
Right.
we know that they've got, a very, very advanced capability, far in advance of our own.
Right.
And then on the other hand, they want America to develop, UAP technology before the Russians and the Chinese do, because, do you really want a world where you have China, as the dominant power? China that puts that puts significant portions of its Muslim and Tibetan and populations into concentration camps, sterilizes people and does nasty things to women.
Oh no! Oh no!
You don't. I mean, America, for all its faults, I kind of go with I kind of go with America, like being the dominant power in the world, please.
Yeah, I love America. In fact, did you want to say anything about? I know that you're about anything about the July 4th.
No, I just want to say, I hope everybody had a happy 4th of July, and that's all. And I think it's quite good. Some of the posts I saw, because I've got a lot of mates. I've got a lot of mates from when I was in Iraq and when I served in the military, who are like American and stuff. And so it's a good day always to remember your roots and the sacrifices that people made to so that your country, that you had like a new country. So that's always got that interesting and good to see.
When is Britain's Independence Day? That's what I Love the Fun asks.
We've always been independent. It really depends when you say. I mean, because there's been different periods in history. I mean, I suppose we first maybe gained our independence in 410 Anno Domini when when the Romans finally left Britain, because the Caesar first came pre-BC and he basically grabbed a bit of Britain, and then in the first century AD, the British peoples basically were subjugated by the Romans. So I suppose our Independence Day would be 410 AD when the Roman legions finally went home. But that's kind of subjective because the British tribes have been so kind of like Romanized by them. There's a bit of history.
Oh my goodness. I have to watch this back so I can catch everything, because I'm trying to sit here and manage this, and I'm hearing all this information that is so fascinating. Well, Frank, I am so grateful that you joined us today, and I can't thank you enough. And I know the technology is interesting. I mean, we got you here where everyone can see you. There he is. To you, you're seeing just like the other side of my room. You're not seeing anything, but everyone can see you. So I am really grateful for you joining us today, and I wish you the best. And I guess we'll catch up, and I'll get information. You can tell me ahead of anything else that comes up, or videos that we can share with everyone. And so I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much as well.
Thank you so much, Frank. And I will put it. You can be found on social media. It's not something that you're focused on.
No, yeah, I'm on Twitter at Franc Milburn.
Okay, so Twitter, Franc Milburn. I put that in already. All right, Frank. Well, have a great day. Be well. Bye.
Bye.
So wow, that was so much information, wasn't it? Okay, so before I was all set, and I was going to say a few things. I'm going to say a few things. We have so much to cover today, and that was a lovely interview with Frank. And so about UAPs, I just want to say a couple of things, because I didn't really get that information in because I was really focused on the interview, right? So I wanted to just say that you can go out on your own and you can look up information about UAPs, UFOs, at the website called MUFON, which I'm putting in the chat. And it's the Mutual UFO Network. It's the world's largest and oldest civilian UFO investigation. Hi! We just had Upside Down. Hi, Upside Down. Great to meet you. Upside Down, we just had an interview with Franc Milburn, and he told us all about UAPs and UFOs. So if you want to catch this stream, it will be up for 2 weeks, or you can go to my UFO. You can go to my YouTube site, Mary Amy Official, or my website, Mary Amy Official, and I post the stream, and you can watch the full interview. It's fascinating stuff. Frank wrote 2 reports about UAPs, and they were very interesting. So I want to just say that, paranormal beliefs, right? Oh, what would you do if holy water splashed on you? I would actually be happy if holy water splashed on me, because that would be really positive. So I would like holy water to be splashed on me. So paranormal beliefs. This is interesting. So Chapman University did some studies on this, and how many people believe, right? So agreement. So out of 100%, 58% of people believe in being haunted by spirits. And then ancient advanced civilizations such as Atlantis once existed, 57%. Aliens have visited Earth, 41%. Aliens have come to Earth in modern times, 35%. Some people can move objects with their minds, 26%, which is mind control, I think. Bigfoot is real, which we talk about Bigfoot, 21%. Fortune tellers and psychics foresee the future, 17%. Well, that's bad news, because I consider myself somewhat of a psychic. Okay, well, I just want to say that, and I was talking about during the interview, before I get on to the other topics, which are famous prophets, seers, like Nostradamus, Jean Dixon. Before I get to that, I just want to say 2019 Insider poll, 1 out of every 5 believe in aliens. 2012, 36% of Americans, which is about 80 million, believe in UFOs. But now in 2020, 1/3 of Americans. And more recently, since the reports came out, I don't know. I'm sure we're going to hear all about the percentage of Americans, because, that's what they're going to go out and they're going to do some kind of... oh, well, here's one right here, if you want to see this. I mentioned earlier that in, 2020, they claimed there to be 7,267 sightings of UFOs, UAPs. So I don't know. It was fascinating to hear all about UFOs and UAPs. And you can catch online, you can download Frank's report. This is actually the government report. This is only 9 pages long. And it talks about, there's five ways to classify UAPs. And off the top of my head, I know that the last one, other, is what most of the UAPs fall under. And I think another one would have been, I guess, foreign, which is China or Russia. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to off of UAPs, and before we get on to a visualization, we are going to talk about symbols of luck. Now, I talk about having a higher consciousness, right? And a higher vibration. And I talk about connecting to a light source and engaging with nature and recording your sleeping dreams. And there's certain symbols in the world consistently that we talk about that are good luck. And so I'm always saying that I'm sending you love. Like I say, my heart is sending you love, and I say I'm trying to help you connect to the beautiful glowing light in your heart. And I found it an interesting subject to talk about what are some good luck symbols around the world, and what would those be considered. So here you can see, here's a whole page of them. So let's see. if you're looking for some good luck, here they are. Elephants, horseshoes, four-leaf clovers, keys, shooting stars, rainbows. The number 7 is known to be good luck. The number 8 is known to be good luck. Bamboo, a barn star, the star that's on the door of a barn, go figure. A chimney sweep is known to be good luck. Ladybugs, a dream catcher, which is what you put over your bed to catch all the nightmares, I guess. Fish, I know koi fish are good luck. Oh, more specifically, a white elephant. Birds or a flock passing right to left. I'm going to have to pay attention to that next time birds are flying over my head. A Buddhist monk passing by. I guess that's like the equivalent of bad luck, walking under a ladder. So good luck is a Buddhist monk passing by. A four-leaf clover, which we all know. A shamrock and jade. So on here we have, I think that this is some kind of insect. I don't know, maybe a dragonfly, a ladybug. There's a star. Here's a coin. I think this is something, a Chinese symbol. Oh, that's right. I'm drawing a blank. Rainbows. So I always said rainbows. I always think rainbows are good luck, right? A horseshoe. And dice. I guess if you get a certain number for dice. Oh, the number 7. So there you can see. Those are some good luck signs, symbols. If you want some good luck in your life, there you go. Sending you, and I'm sending you good luck, and I'm wishing you well. So I feel like a little bit more relaxed because, you know, it gets very intense when I'm having someone on because I want to be a good host and I'm doing my very best. And so let's move on. Let's see, what are we going to do? Should we do a visualization? So what a visualization is going to do, it's going to help calm your spirit, release any negative or dark energy that you're carrying. And so if you bear with me, if you're not interested in the visualization, you can come back in a minute or two, and I'm going to talk about famous seers like Nostradamus, and I have a book about him. And one of my first shows, which kind of went in the dark because I didn't have the proper Wi-Fi, I spoke about Nostradamus. So I'm going to touch on Nostradamus and some other famous seers, predictors, you know, famous prophets who claim to know the future. So let's first do a visualization, okay? We will create vivid mental images in our mind's eye, bringing positive emotions such as joy, happiness, and hope. Blessings. Our intention today is to clear away negative thoughts through a glowing light. Let's realize connecting your mind, body, spirit to a divine light will shed darkness and negativity and unblock your true potential and passions. Your glowing light visualization begins now. So let's find a quiet space, sit or lay down comfortably. I'd like you to close your eyes, and together we're going to deeply inhale and exhale 3 times to release any stress. I'd like you to scan your body for stress from the top of your head, your crown chakra, to the tip of your toes. So let's bring awareness to your thoughts. I'd like you to imagine that you're in your brain. And as you're in your brain, I'd like you to consider, what does your mind automatically think about? And are these thoughts useful to you? Are they positive or negative? And do the same thoughts spin around your mind endlessly? And circling back, our thoughts create our future, personality, and destiny. Thoughts are very powerful. So let's begin to clear away any negativity to have a pure spirit. Try to open up more space inside your body. Let's let out a sigh to release any negative thoughts. And if you can't release the negative thought, ask yourself why. So as you release these negative thoughts, you're going to make room in your brain, and you're going to visualize in your brain a bigger space. So I'd like you to open up more room inside your brain. Let's release all those useless thoughts and breathe them out. Now, if you need to, say them aloud if necessary. And together, let's replace those old thoughts, those negative thoughts, or those useless thoughts with positive, glowing light in that space. And you're going to bring peace and calming into your being. And you're going to breathe in fresh air and breathe out negative thoughts that you're carrying. Now, I'd like you to imagine the biggest hope that you have. The biggest, most humongous hope that you have for your future, in your life. And you're not going to tell anyone, and you're going to just leave that hope and that dream inside that space in your mind. And in that newfound space, you have hope, you have peace, and you have light. And I'd like you to stay in that for a minute, for a second. So you have stillness, and you're relaxed, and you accept it, and you feel a higher consciousness that's coming over you. And so that thought's going to be, I would like, and you're going to leave it there. Now I'm going to count backwards to 3, and you'll open your eyes. 3, 2, 1. Well, thank you for joining me for that visualization. Every time I stream, I do a visualization because I'm hoping to bring calmness and peace to your inner spirit. Okay, moving on. So let's talk about for a second, I got off the internet a story from the Independent about Nostradamus. Before I say that, and I'm going to tell you some of his predictions, I have his book. I'll grab it. Nostradamus, who was that? We've heard that name over and over, probably since we're children. He was a famous French astrologer. He was an alchemist, he was a prophet, he was a seer, and he lived 1503 and he passed in 1566. His home was in Ceylon province, and he had his one drawback was he had this sensitivity to dampness. He married in 1531. His wife and 2 children unfortunately died from the plague in 1534. Now he remarried and had 3 sons and 3 daughters. And originally, Nostradamus gave aid to doctors during the plague, but later focused on the supernatural. So he wrote an almanac in 1550 and became an astrologer for wealthy patrons. By 1555, he published Lay Prophets, which I have a copy of that. Now, I just want to say that I am going to get on to some humanoids, some alien types in a little bit, and I'm also going to talk about some karmic debt. Okay, so here's a book. Here's his book, and I'm just going to read to you some of his predictions. Before we move on to that, I just want to say, so by 1555, he published Lay Prophets, which I don't know if this is that actual book, but resulting in mixed reception, however, gained much support in the preceding years. He predicted world events, translations from French to English with much dispute to whether prophecies fit events. He gave 6,308 prophecies in many almanacs, 11 annual calendars, horoscopes, and psychic advice. He became the actual personal physician for Catherine de Medici, wife of King Henry II, and she believed him to be quite accurate. And he was her counselor and private physician. Now, he died with an estate of 3,444 crowns, equal to $300,000. He predicted his own death the day before. So in his book, he talks about fulfilled prophecy, which is one clear meaning, partially fulfilled prophecy, future prophecy, near future prophecy, and distant future prophecy. So no one's really unlocked the code of his secrets, but I found this is a recent article in The Independent, and so here's an excerpt from his book and what it actually was. So he says the lost thing is discovered, hidden for many centuries. Pasture will be celebrated almost as a godlike figure. This is when the moon completes her great cycle. But by other rumors he shall be dishonored. So what happened? Now, don't forget, his lifetime was in the 1500s. So in 1822, Louis Pasteur was a French chemist and microbiologist who discovered the growth of microorganisms called fermentation. That discovery also proved bacteria doesn't simply appear spontaneously as previously thought. So that's what they're saying that's related to. Another prediction about 9/11, his prediction was the sky will burn at 45 degrees. Fire approaches the great new city. By fire he will destroy their city. A cold and cruel heart blood will pour. Mercy to none. So what happened? On the morning of September 11, 2001, hijacked planes crashed into the two towers of the World Trade Center in New York, New York. Scholars interpret 45 degrees of either a reference to New York City's proximity to the 45th latitude, or that of the burning buildings would fall, creating a 45-degree angle to the ground, even though they biogenesis. Anyway, okay, so those are some predictions by Nostradamus. And moving on, there is someone more closer to our time, Jean Dixon. And I don't know if anyone recalls, like when you open up a newspaper or magazine, there's, an astrologer or something in relation to astrology. So Jean Dixon, she was from 1904 to 1997. Now I'm listing some of the most famous prophets and seers. So a seer is a person who is supposed to be able, through supernatural insight, to be able to see what the future holds. A person credited with extraordinary moral and spiritual insight. An oracle means prophecy, a person of great wisdom, or someone who believes to have communication with God, someone who has conversations with God, right? We all like to open up magazines and newspapers and see what's our horoscope. I'm myself a Leo. I like to see what does it say about Leos. So Jean Dixon was one of the most famous self-proclaimed psychic astrologers, and she authored 7 books, and she was one of 10 children, born to a German immigrant. Now, President Richard Nixon trusted her predictions. In her 1970 book, The Call to Glory, Jean wrote, apocalyptic war would occur in 2020. And her 1969 book, My Life in Prophecy, she predicted a war between China and Russia in 2025 and 2037, with China winning. Well, that's bad news, isn't it, Jean? Now, horoscopes are an astrological forecast of a person's future based on the position of the stars and planets of the time. The first person to the original event of where did horoscopes come from that we see in newspaper columns was by R.H. Naylor, a prominent British astrologer who is credited with the first newspaper horoscope column. And he actually was a high society shaman. A shaman's like a medicine person who connects to I guess, the other realms. And he read the palms of Mark Twain and Winston Churchill. And there was many copycats ensued afterwards with horoscopes. And so horoscope columns have remained popular in newspapers and magazines because readers love them. So whether we realize it or not, psychics and soothsayers, they say, and seers are actually in our publications today. in the form of columns of horoscopes. And why are they still popular? Because people love them. Okay, moving on, before we talk about the alien starseeds, I wanted to mention karmic debt. No, I wanted, yes. What do I have to show for karmic debt? Hi! My Karina Peach. Oh my gosh, thank you, my Karina Peach. I appreciate that. You're so sweet. Thank you. So you're so sweet for saying that. So I want to say that you will go on my board of followers. Here they are. Here's the followers for Signs of Light. And you know what? I'm really, really happy that I have these followers. And so we'll put you on here. My Karina Peach, that's adorable. And, you know, I have some of my old faithfuls is I love the beach, I love the fun. We usually see and hear from, let's see, who do we use? I know Kawa. Is Kawa out there today? Kawa, are you here? And I haven't heard from Chef Brody in quite a while. I wonder if he's still around. Okay, so moving on. So what is karmic debt? I don't know if I have anything to hold up. I gotta find something to hold up about karmic debt. I guess we could hold up this picture, right? It's about light. It's showing light. But what is karmic debt? You know, we talk about karma. So karmic debt. Karma is the spiritual principle of cause and effect, meaning the intent and actions of an individual's influence the future of the individual. So they say virtuous actions create happiness and non-virtuous actions create suffering. And I talk about higher consciousness and how important that is. Why? Why is that important? Because great show. Thank you, K-Day Floyd. Oh my God, you're awesome. Thank you. I love you all for joining me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So karmic debt. So karmic debt is super important, everyone, because then we can raise our consciousness. And when we raise our consciousness, good things happen. And we have a higher vibration and more opportunities come. So karmic means deed, right? Present and past lives at the health of a person, right? So what is karmic debt? You know, I wondered about this because, you know, I've said to myself, why am I in this relationship? Why are these things happening to me? Oh, poor me, right? So what karma am I paying off? Is it from a previous life? Apparently. Is it from this life? I don't think it's from this life. But you know, as you clear away karmic debt, it's like everything opens up more and you become a more clear person. And so I have to say that good karma comes, and they say virtuous actions, right? So what does that mean? That means that thoughts, words, and actions are positive towards other people, and we accept others more. You know, like if someone has a differing opinion than me, oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. If someone has a differing opinion than me, what do I say? I just say, like, I'm not for that person. It's not, I don't ever wish anything ill will towards anyone. I just say, okay, I'm not right for that person at this time, but maybe, you know, I'll plant a seed. Maybe there's something that I'm saying that will help someone. So back to karmic debt. So the patterns in your life that are repeated and unsolved issues that you have is karmic debt. So karmic relationships are the biggest life lessons. So sometimes, you know, people say, oh, why didn't that work out with that person? It could be a romance or a friendship, and it might just be that you had a lesson to learn from that person, right? It's not that they're in your life forever, and that's okay, you know, because sometimes as you grow and transform, not everyone is going to be going with you and traveling with you. And sometimes it's about attachment, and you have to let go of attachments and not worry about that so much. So I pulled up, you know, as I always do, I pull up information online because, you know, I try to kind of define things for you, because for myself too. And then, like always, I find one word that's interesting, and then all this information comes, and then I'm like, how am I going to include this in the show? Oh, by the way, about the show. So you know now that my schedule is that I'm streaming on Mondays 2 to 4 plus, like we're at 3:36, so we're probably going to go over 4 o'clock, because I'm just going to be talking about different information about aliens today. But 2 to 4 always, Mondays and Thursdays. And now, so this week, this is great. Thursday I had a guest, and it turns out she's actually taking a trip. That's okay. We're going to do a recap Thursday. Saturday, I have a guest. I have the leader of a paranormal group in Florida. And so he's going to come on Saturday, and I'm doing it a little bit later because I know people have plans on Saturdays and the time change. So Saturday's show, streaming, the paranormal leader, I can't wait to hear about that, is 4 to 6. So just be aware of that. Okay, so karmic debt, and how do you know if you have it? Okay, so what is karmic debt? This is coming from mindbodygreen.com. Oh, sounds fun. Good. Yay! So, and this is helpful to all of us, right? Because we want to have good karma. Like, I think the more you become aware, then the more you understand how valuable it is to be kind to others. You know, like I say, because we're all connected, right? So if someone else is in pain, then it's actually causing my spirit pain in some ways. So keep that in mind. So karmic debt describes something that occurred in a past life that you're now making amends for in this lifetime. Numerologist and author of You Are a Cosmic Code, Caitlin Cohart, explains, here's some signs of karmic debt. So here's some signs. I don't know if this is, we're going to love hearing about this karmic debt. Okay, so karmic debt. 1, you experience seemingly inexplicable behaviors and patterns. So this tends to make sense of irrational fears or other behaviors or patterns that wouldn't otherwise make sense in the context of this lifetime. Inexplicable behaviors and patterns. So you have debt. Like, in other words, like you keep running into the same people, the same kind of, like it might be the same person, the same personality, or the same situation, a different exterior of the person. Or, you know, you're constantly undergoing the same issues in a career. And so maybe there's some kind of karmic debt that you have to clear. Maybe you have a constant fear of water, and it's not from this lifetime. So you have to, as I say, go through it. Go through whatever's bothering you, whatever fears you have, because avoiding actually a fear is much worse than actually getting through the fear. So if you avoid it, it's much worse, and it can cause you to have other issues, or other, like an addiction or a compulsion. So it's better to go through fears with a support system, of course, right? We're talking about karmic debt right now. Another is opportunities for mastery present themselves. So there's ways for you to recover from the karmic debt. Like I know that there's been persons in my life that I must. Have you ever felt that you had karmic debt in your experience? Yes, I have had karmic debt. I know I have 100%, and I had to undergo certain relationships and experiences to clear it away. And what I was about to say is that I truly know that there's certain people that I was supposed to help and be part of their life, and I can feel when and sense when my debt is paid, and then move forward. And maybe it's actually inside of myself, issues that I have inside of myself that I have to overcome. Like I had a fear of water because I almost drowned, and I think I was born with that fear. And I also had a fear of fire, which I'm still trying to get over. So, you know, I have my share of fears. So try as you might to avoid the issue. If you fail to address your karmic debt, it's going to keep popping up. Of course it is. We know this, right? I mean, people, you know, you read these articles and people talk about, you know, why does this keep happening to me? You have to look at why is it happening to you? You have to address it. Like maybe, and also, sometimes we say, oh, it's not me, it's not me, it's them, it's them. Maybe it's you. Maybe you are attracting the same energy pattern, the same types of people, because you have to transform yourself, right? 3, you've had one or more karmic relationships. Sometimes karmic debt relates to a very close relationship that you have crossed lifetimes with. Like I believe in past lives. And I know that there's been some people that I've had relationships with that are from a past life. Like their soul or spirit came into this world and then I met them, and I could tell, because it's like you can tell those people that you connect to, that you know, you could be in a whole group of people and one person stands out that you're really drawn to, and it feels like you know them for a lifetimes because you probably have. Okay, 4, you're aware of more themes repeating in your life. Again, if you try to bury your debt, your karmic debt, you are likely already know that the themes and issues. It's like you're like, no, I'm not going to do it again. No, I'm not going to do it again. And you're avoiding it. You're going to have to get through it and figure out what it is. And maybe when you go to sleep at night, ask yourself, that's dream work. Ask yourself, why do I keep having the same relationship or the same issue in my personality, or in you know, whether it be your career or maybe it's your residence? Like, why does this keep popping up? And number 5 is there's what's called karmic debt numbers. Go figure. So with a numerological perspective, some find that some people have karmic debt numbers in their personal numerology chart. Those numbers are 13, 14, 16, and 19. And so this article goes on to explain what each of those mean. Like, I'll give you one, for example. So 13, if you have 13 karmic debt number, it's associated with laziness, selfishness in a past life. Oh no. You may deal with blaming others and not taking responsibility, being negative, and also stubborn and controlling. Your karma is to hold yourself accountable. Oh, I see. So it's like you have this number to try to teach you a lesson. Wow. I don't know if I have any of these numbers, because I always actually think my good luck number is 15 because I'm born on the 15th. Let's see. I don't really have any of these numbers that are coming up for me. There's also a life path number. So karmic lessons and karmic debts are related in that they both deal with karma from past lives. However, karmic debts tend to bear more weight through the course of our lives. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it? All about karma. Okay, moving forward, I wanted to talk about, which I don't think I even have it here because I didn't pull it up. I wanted to talk about, oh, here it is, the 4 elements of nature. So the 4 elements of nature, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I know that the Native American Indians were so trusted when when it referred to their land, and it was sacred to them, and they loved their land. So I'm just going to say that the four elements of nature, earth, air, fire, and water, which sustain living beings and make life on earth possible, all Native American cultures can determine for sure that life is sacred and it comes from the land, which implies that Mother Earth is also divine, right? And it's really important for us to spend time in nature to connect to ourselves and turn off technology and engage with nature, 5 to 15 minutes a day, because it will bring you closer to yourself, and like I said, a higher consciousness and a higher vibration, and become a more compassionate human being, right? And so, although there are differences among Native communities, the worldview of Native people generally sees the land and environment as intrinsically intertwined with human development and well-being. Native people have long acknowledged that the decision we make today has lasting effects in future generations. So I believe in taking care of, the wildlife and the earth and the water and the air, right? And so Native Americans values generally and specifically to four traditional values: bravery, generosity, fortitude, and wisdom. Okay, before the aliens, we talk about the aliens, I just want to say, as always, angels. So all about angels, right? So we love angels, and this is my favorite painting, right? And it is Angels Dancing Sun, Hail to the Angels, and by Giovanni Di Paolo, Italian painter. So I want to say, and for those of you who know me and have been watching my stream, that prior to this, I hosted a show on Facebook Live, and it was called Angels, God, and Me. And I wasn't really even as much into angels that I am now. Angels are immortal beings. They're made of light. They're non-gender. They travel from the heavens to earth. They protect humanity. They're messengers, and they're warriors. The archangels are warriors for us, and they want to bring us happiness, and they want us to be guided towards light and love and compassion. And I truly believe that we all have at least 2 guardian angels. And I know because it was in my third eye, but now I literally can see in front of me when I tune in this very large angel that is always right here, and is sharing with me some kind of information. It's not spoken, it's not communicated, it's more gestures, and the angels are here protecting me. Like today, I was a little extra nervous to do the stream, and I said, please, please, carry me, get me through this. And then all of a sudden, it's like all of the anxiety dissipated, and I felt like not alone. So I'm saying to you, if you are connecting to your own angels, and if you ask, so how does this happen? Well, just actually the intention of saying, angels, like, are there any angels? So when I started doing this is actually episode 21. It's really 22, but I did one when we were away in Montauk, and I'm not counting it because it just didn't go well. So we'll say 21 episodes. And before I started doing this stream, I had so much trouble with technology, as everyone knows, and I was saying, please, angels, help me. So at first I would see the angels' activity around me, like which was all the angels were like shooting up, like rows and rows of angels, like if they were, on bleachers behind me, right? And they were like glowing yellow color, right? And then it turned into angels dancing. So that's why I love this painting, because the angels are dancing. And see how they're holding hands? Like, that's what I sense, that angels are holding my hands and they're dancing, and then they would invite me to dance. And now, more recently, what I see is, and I had a lucid dream about this once. I see, but it wasn't angels, it was like wall of all these symbols going up to the heavens. So now I just see angels traveling up to the heavens, like in a circle, right? They're just flying up into the heavens. So if you're interested, I'm making a suggestion, and you believe in angels, right? 70% of Americans believe in angels, apparently. What are they? They're beings of light. And in fine arts, we see them with halos and wings, but that's what our mind can see, right? A higher consciousness, I think angels just appear. Like, to me, I don't see wings and halos. I just see like a glow around these beings. So there you go. Speak to your own angels. We all have them. I believe I have legions of angels, and there's 9 ranks of angels, so try it. Okay, well, let's talk about, before we go today, we're going to talk about sacred knowledge, but I promised everyone that we were going to talk about aliens, right? Now, most recently, I've been learning all about these starseeds. And my friend Peter Hansen and my friend Jilly Clark, who was on last week, you can see their streams on YouTube. They spoke about starseeds. And starseeds are multi-dimensional beings, and it's discovering your own DNA. So are we starseeds on this planet? And there's a few different types of starseeds, and I'm just going to show you, like, here's an Andromedan, right? Which, funny enough, I want to say that I actually had a lucid dream with an Andromedan. And I woke up, well, I got up, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I looked through all my photos. Which one was that? Which one was that? And the Andromedan that I saw, and I'm wanting to say it was an Andromedan because of the way it looked and what allegedly an Andromedan looks like. It had a big head, big huge eyes, it had a long nose, very, very gentle energy. So it's like came out from the darkness. It was very vivid, and it was blue. So here's an Andromedan. So their origin is Andromeda, right? Their lifespan is 4,000 Earth years, and they're here to guide and protect. And I also want to say they're energy beings. And they're usually look to be blue or violet, highly intelligent, technologically advanced. They assert good intentions and protective of humankind to assist in spiritual growth. So that would make sense, right, for me. Now, an Arcturian, they're energy beings. Mission to remove all hostile extraterrestrial presence on Earth. So a starseed is a highly evolved, intelligent spiritual being from far, far galaxies that is incarnated into a human body, right? And our guests spoke about that. Are there extraterrestrials on Earth already? We don't know. So I don't know if I have anything on Arcturian today, but this is a picture of one, right? And let's see. Here we go. These are Palladians. Now, Palladians are known also to be called Nordics, from Pleiades, and they look to be Scandinavian, 6 to 7 feet tall, with blonde hair and blue eyes and fair skin. And And Pleiadians are humanoid extraterrestrials from the planet Pleiades, and they're known to be magical beings. Many humans allege accounts of these extraterrestrial beings. In fact, I've said before, George Mosky claims to have had contact in the 1950s, and he says they're telepathic and they're benevolent, and they have physical beauty, and they're concerned with world peace. They appear in your dreams and your meditations. I actually am seeing like more of a blue energy. My friend Mujin Choi, he was a guest on the show. He spoke of the blue beings that follow him. And let's see. Here's a starseed, right? So a starseed are highly evolved, intelligent spiritual beings from distant galaxies and faraway star systems who are incarnated into the human body, and I've said that. Infused with DNA activation codes, starseeds come to planet Earth to heal some form of darkness and to usher in a new wave of creativity and love and understanding. Not every starseed is here to heal, though. Some starseeds, such I know they say gray aliens and reptilian aliens, are not known to be doing the best for planet Earth, but this is all allegedly, right? Now, before I go, I just want to mention about sacred knowledge. So sacred knowledge, I speak of light, I speak of nature, I speak of dreams. So light, the brightest form of energy, often given off by something like the sun, that makes it possible to see. I say, let's connect to the beautiful glowing light in your heart. And how do you do that? It's about love. It's about loving yourself and loving others. You know, rather than sending anything negative, let's send love to others. Let's be compassionate. Let's be kind and share with everyone how you know, the love that's in your heart. Now, if you have trouble with that, maybe you need to release some negativity or darkness or anger or pain or hurt. And how I suggest that you journal. You write down a stream of consciousness, you release that, go down to a body of water. Like yesterday I did that. I went down to the beach and I just went down and spoke about what was bothering me, and I said, take it. I don't want it anymore. I don't want this negativity. Please take it away. And then I had a little bit of like some weeping that happened, and that's fine. Do this alone. It's not something you need to be sharing with others. You know, that's why sometimes people release anger or pain to others. It's because they have it in their heart. So if you let it go, you can find the beautiful glowing light that's in your heart. Now, also if you catch a sunrise or a sunset, that will help you connect to the light in your heart. Another suggestion is nature. Spend time in nature. Nature, the phenomenon of the physical world collectively, including plants, animals, the landscape, and other beautiful pieces of nature like flowers and trees, the earth, the ocean, the stars. Now dreams, I'm going to say it again. Write down your dreams. Purchase a dream journal, write in a composition book. In the morning, write down your dreams. If you can't remember your dreams before you go to sleep at night. Oh, hi! Aliens are more advanced because they are from the future, since they are light years away, and light year is not the same as the year. Yes. So they are more advanced. Yes, they are way more advanced. Like our brain, I don't think can wrap around aliens. And like if they communicated with us, we probably would be left in the dust, right? Because we don't even understand what they're talking about or what they're trying to communicate. I do believe that they are trying, most of the aliens, extraterrestrials, humanoids, are trying to share benevolence and love and peace, and they're trying to help us and guide us. So dreams. Dreams are a universal experience that can be described as a state of consciousness, characterized by sensory, cognitive, and emotional occurrences during sleep. When you write down your dreams, you can see patterns. And you can have what's called a recurring dream, and that will actually be like an episodic show. And you say, oh, it's the same dream, but if you pay attention, it's actually not. Each dream is giving you more information. Now look for details in your dreams and write them down. Maybe there'll be symbols, certain people. Maybe you can find something, numbers or dates. Pay attention. Nothing is random. It's your unconscious guiding you to your truest destiny. And you will know when you're getting closer to your truest destiny, because you will reach ultimate synchronicity. And synchronicity is when events that happen together have nothing to do with each other. Like they say a coincidence, it's kind of like that, right? So I just would like to say that I am grateful for everyone out there. I'm grateful for our new follower who will be with all our other followers after today. So Thursday's show, I'm probably going to do a recap. And I want to share that video that, what was his name? Jack Sephardi talks about 20 years ago. He had the phone call from an alien spacecraft. I find that fascinating. Probably I'll touch on Bigfoot. I love to talk about Bigfoot and hear about Bigfoot, and I'll look at the BFRO website and see some latest sightings. Saturday, let me remind you, Saturday's show. Saturday, so I'm going to be streaming. We're going to have a paranormal leader, Eric from Florida. And it's a paranormal leader, and he goes on expeditions with his crew, and they visit paranormal sites. And he did tell me the other day, we were messaging back and forth, that he believes in angels, and he believes angels are with him to get through the paranormal experiences. So I just want to say, so Thursday's show right now, it's a recap, and then that's 2 to 4 p.m. everybody. Yay! Oh, to Thursday. How did I spell Thursday? And then Saturday I'm going to have an extra show, and that's going to be 4 to 6, and that's going to have a guest, paranormal leader of a group, and I think it's I want to say it's Southwest Florida, and that looks very interesting. I haven't had anyone like that, and you know, I always say, like, I get nervous about connecting to like other, you know, dark energies possibly, and I know paranormal. What my experience is with paranormal, I used to house clear. So a house clearing would be, I would take away entities from the house. You know, like they say, maybe the house is haunted, there is a poltergeist. It's like giving your house an exorcism, right? And so what I found was that, you know, a haunted home is haunted because that energy, that being, that spirit, that otherworldly creature is stuck in time and space. And if you bother it, it's going to act out. Like, it's going to turn on the appliances, or it's going to make you sick. Or it's going to, you know, threaten you, haunt you. It's going to haunt you. And I did this for a few months, and it was short-lived. You know, I was working as an intuitive in my town. It was short-lived because I said, I can't do this. It's too much, you know, and I could hear it's, you know, I saw it, and then I described it, and it basically followed me home. So I have not been involved with paranormal. I also had an experience that I saw orbs, and hundreds of orbs, and I saw them. You know, it's funny because a video, when you use your iPhone, you can catch them. I saw little white ones, and I want to say they were this big, and they were, you know, just traveling, and I can see them. I've seen them before in other videos, so I know now what they look like, and they just move really fast, and they do all these different turns. And then I saw a blue one, I remember, and then one that looked like purple. And then that was my experience with paranormal. So Saturday should be super interesting with our guest, the leader of this Southwest Florida paranormal group. All right, everybody. If you want to see this show again, stream it. It will be up. The stream will be up for 2 weeks, and you can catch the beginning of the stream. It started 2 hours and 20 minutes ago, and we had guest Franc Milburn, who's a UAP UFO. I guess I called him an expert. He didn't like that title, but I think he's an expert. He's pretty good. He's great, actually. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And I will be back on Thursday. And again, I want to say, my Karina Peach, I'm so happy that you joined us today, and you're one of my new followers. And this is Mary Amy, and I'm sending love to you, and I'm hoping that and I'm here, and I hope that you find self-love, and you find love in your life and relationships, and you realize how lucky you are to be here and live in the present, and know that, stretch this moment and find your own light and your passions. Write down 5 humongous goals, and you'll be planting a seed, and all of a sudden you will find out, don't share with anyone, you will find out that information comes together about one of your goals, and you'll find that you can have whatever you want. Dreams are possible. I believe in dreams. So have a wonderful day, and I just want to say that you can find me on MaryAmyOfficial.com, and my YouTube page, Mary Amy Official, my Facebook, Mary Amy Official, and my Instagram, Mary Amy Official. So thank you for joining us. I just want to say my blessings to you in honor of my Scottish grandmother, Lucille. Lang may your lum reek, which means I wish you good luck and good fortune in the future. Be well and be happy. Thank you.